Well, hello, good afternoon. As a proud Yorkshire woman, it's always good to be back. I'm not always in Yorkshire as much as I'd like, so that's really good to be here. In fact, most of my work that I've written myself, I've always premiered it in Yorkshire, so it's nice to be doing this here today. So thank you for the introduction. I am an actor and writer and also a campaigner, though that's rather accidental. We all know that in our heart of hearts, I believe, that our voices matter, that your voice matters, and that our democracy works better when more of us have a say. So when we vote, your voice and your vote matter. Now, I wrote a play about Emily Davison, the suffragette. She's the woman who's probably best known for the campaign, the protest at the Epsom Derby in 1913. There's some very grainy footage that you might have seen online. And this is where the hashtag came from, Emily Matters, because the play premiered in Bolton Castle in Wensleydale. And eventually I took it to the House of Commons, and that's where I created the hashtag Emily Matters, because I believe that she matters, she was remarkable, but also things that she cared about, not just the vote, but the good education for all, social justice and equality. So this is very much around what I've been doing over the past couple of years and looking to do moving forwards. So, over the past few years, having created this Emily Matters, and it really kind of took off. It was completely accidental, but people really responded. There was an election in May, and then we had the Scottish independence referendum. And that's where it found a contemporary voice, because I met a young woman called Lauren. I just got off the sleeper train. It was the day before the Scottish independence referendum. I was very sleepy, and she was lovely. She took pity on me, potential first-time voter, and we had a conversation which I recorded. I was doing a vox pop, and I asked her if she was going to vote and if voting mattered. And she said, well, look, I don't really care about politics. I find it really boring, not really interested. And frankly, I was a bit rubbish. I didn't manage to persuade her. I think I mentioned stuff about taxes and things that was... Anyway, in my failure, I said to other people what she had told me, what Lauren had said, and people started to respond to Lauren, because even though she's one person, she really summed up for far too many young people and women in particular, that they're not voting. Now, what I've found over the years going to events, I even wrote a new speech drawing on the writings of Emily Davison, where she's speaking in 1913, but she's speaking to us today. And it's very much that your voice matters. And I was going to all sorts of things. I met some incredible people making a real difference. And I was able to work with them. For example, Preet Kaur-Gill, who is the first woman Sikh MP. She's just been elected and she's going to be doing great things, so do look out for her. But as I was doing this, particularly the speech of Emily Davison that I'd written, the words became harder and harder to say. And my voice started to go. Now, as an actor, that's pretty rubbish. Really don't want that to happen, but it was. And my sort of throat seemed to be tightening. I was losing connection, as it were. And what I'd found when I was talking to people about voting is that at the heart of it seemed to be a matter of self-worth, or frankly, a lack of it. And what I was saying, what I was doing seemed to resonate, because I do truly believe, and I meant it then and I mean it now, that your voice matters. The only problem was, I didn't mean me. So I was saying this, and you see, the thing about acting is it's all about truth. We say, oh, it's all pretend, but actually it's about truth. And so I basically felt like a fake. I was saying these words, and there were times where I literally felt I was going to keel over. I couldn't actually get up and speak. There was an event in London. I was all dressed up as Emily Davison, about to take the stage, and I almost collapsed. Luckily, nobody noticed, just me. But I thought, this is ridiculous. And there was a moment when, because I'd been pushing, I thought the only way to get through it is keep pushing, I was all over social media like a rash, and I was working with some fantastic people who really helped and supported me, because there was a point I literally, really for about a year, more or less came off Twitter. I just couldn't face it anymore. I felt I'd just been on there too much. I just really couldn't. And so actually at the end of last year, I more or less just stopped. Paid the bills, managed to do that, but really didn't do a great deal. I was not in a great place. And funnily enough, the world carried on. You know, I think, oh, I've got to be doing this, people, you know, your voice matters and we must vote. But, you know, frankly, I wasn't doing it, and plenty of other people were out there doing it brilliantly. So that was a lesson for the ego. But what I realized is that why I think what was going on with my voice is that your whole life is in your voice. What you carry and what you hide. And so it's any wonder that when you really care about something and you want to talk about it and to speak up, which is what I was urging people to do, step up, vote, lead. And I just wasn't doing that myself. I was pulling further and further back, and it was becoming a real issue. But when, as I say, when you actually do that, no wonder you feel vulnerable. And of course, in some countries, as we were hearing from Marcia, women can actually risk their lives for daring to speak up to the establishment, or even in their household. Things aren't perfect here, obviously, but you know, there are places in the world where really, as we heard earlier, it's unbelievable, and we all need to work together and reach across the globe to help each other. So if you are struggling with this, because self-worth, I think the thing to remember is, as you were saying, Marcia, is that you are not alone. Everybody does struggle with this at some point. It may just be for some people for a moment. It may be for a lifetime. And next year, it's going to be 100 years since women in the UK, the first group of women, got the right to vote. It's a major step in universal suffrage, in having the right to vote. We have to wait another 10 years before women were absolutely equal, but it's still important next year. So I believe if you are struggling with that, I look back to the suffragettes. And even in the darkest times, when they were facing brutal oppression and being silenced at every turn, losing friends, mocked, that they worked together, they encouraged each other, and they never, never gave up hope that change would happen. And it did. Eventually, it did. And I believe, looking back to women like Emily Davison or Leonora Cohen, who was a suffragette from Leeds, that we can learn if things aren't going right now, if we feel we're not being heard, we can draw strength from women like them and women across the globe. So that's why I believe the work of Jo Cox MP matters so much. She's talking about bringing communities and people together. We had the great get-together weekend. I was a part of an event at Amnesty for that. And also, part of her legacy is a commission on loneliness. Again, people can feel that they are on their own, that nobody's listening. It's why I believe projects like the Parliament Project really matter. They are encouraging women at a grassroots level to get into politics, to potentially become MPs, but they mentor people, they have workshops. You don't even have to say, I'm a member of this party. If you just believe something passionately and are interested to find out more, they are fantastic. Girl Guiding is another organisation. I'm very fortunate to be working with them. They empower girls and help them to be the best that they can be and be happy in themselves and know that they and you are enough. So, I'm going to just say a last line from To Freedom's Cause, and it's as Emily Davison, speaking in 1913, but to us. And the idea is that when I was saying these words before, I meant them every single time. But now I mean them, but I also hear them as well. So this is, we all are in this story, and we each have a part to play. That we are passing forward that precious torch of democracy and freedom from one generation to the next. And we're all playing a part, whether we know it or not. And it is time for us all to do that. So one last moment from this speech, which I hope sums it up. Keep pushing until women and men are equal. When no child is told she is unworthy, that her voice simply doesn't matter because she is a girl. Your voice matters. Thank you.